You're listening to the Outdoor Drive Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Outdoor Drive Podcast. This is episode 142. This is your boy East Coast Trev. I just wanted to do a little pre-intro here and get rid of housekeeping. But before we do that, you guys stay tuned for this episode. Great episode. We have a good friend of ours, Bojangles from Bojangles Baits. If you guys haven't checked him out yet, you probably should go and do so. If you haven't seen him on TikTok, he's probably one of the most famous fishermen on TikTok, I guess. Some really good things he's got going on, making his baits funny as all heck. Great guy. Really looking forward to this podcast and doing this one with Beau. So let's get through the norm here, the sponsorships and partnerships. These guys make it all possible, along with you guys, the listeners and supporters of the podcast. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. Huntworth, huntworthgear.com. We do have a promo code coming, just being built now. This is probably some of the best hunting gear that I've ever used. Durability wise, we have the early season stuff. Absolutely loving it. The camo is phenomenal. I was a little skeptical. The digital, never really worn anything like that, but man, I am in love. Some of the best camo I've ever worn. Bowfishing Magazine, bowfishingmagazine.com. If you guys aren't a bow fisherman or you want to get into bow fishing, probably should go and check that out over at bowfishingmagazine.com. It's an online issued magazine. Great stuff, great content, from cooking the fish that you kill on the boat to, just a little bit of everything, gear, tactics, so on and so forth. A ton of really good stuff over there at Bowfishing Magazine. Nor'easter game calls, get them in close. You guys, we have some really cool stuff coming out. Mark's doing a phenomenal job up in the shop. The grunt tubes are coming. You guys think about that. Deer season's just around the corner. Anything you think of, get on over to nor'eastergamecalls.com and check all that stuff out. We're also partnered with latitudeoutdoors.com, the maker of the Method and the Classic 2. Great saddles, probably one of the most comfortable ones that I've ever been in. They got some new stuff coming out down the line also. It's that time of year, so keep your eyes peeled on that. Zues Broadheads, newairarchery.com. It's the home of the B16, the Aries, and now a new one coming down the line. Definitely going to be a game changer in the broadhead world. Well, I don't want to hold you guys up too much, but let's get on with the show. Let's get Beau on the line. All right, we're back on the phone with Beau from Bojangles. What's up, man?
Hello, buddy. How are we?
Good, man. How are you?
Just got done mowing and almost forgot about this podcast. I ain't gonna lie.
I guess we're not that important, but that's okay.
No.
We'll
he saved us, We're not having technical difficulties, so he did us a favor.
You gonna put that on me?
Got to put it on somebody.
Millennials. Entitlement.
Russia.
Welcome to 2022.
Oh, boy.
Well, before this thing goes off the rails, why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do?
All right. Well, my name is Beau Harris. I own and operate Bojangle Baits. We're out of Missouri, right around Lake of the Ozarks. The bait thing was kind of how it came about. I was doing HVAC prior to, and I was tired of relying on someone else for my income or my well-being. And I had a friend that was just tinkering with it as a hobby, and I went over and tried it. It's like, this might not be bad, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Made a couple phone calls, and then it just snowballed from there. And here we are. 14 months later, and I haven't looked back. Heck, I'm trying to look forward and trying to find help because it's gotten to that point now.
So what separates you from other bait companies? Like, are you doing injection molds, or are you doing, how do you go about it? Like, where did it start?
The guy, so Kenny is his name. That was the hobbyist with it. Fully retired. He actually had one leg amputated, so that's how he became retired. Man, he had just little single cavity molds, little do-it molds, whatever. And then I was like, wait, this ain't gonna happen. Like the first order a buddy of mine ripped off was 1,000 baits. And here I'm trying to shoot like 10 at a time. It's gonna take forever. So start getting molds, starting to design some things, trying to look for mold designs that were nice, but not the same that everybody had. You know, like for instance on Bobby Garland, their Stinger Shad. Everybody got that, you know. So I looked at something that was still a minnow aspect, but different, but had, you know, still had good. That's where we came up with a Bowman. That was at a 2-inch profile. That was like one of the first, but the very first one was actually, it's a carrot stick bait. Because I was literally, when we would shoot those to start, you shoot the whole mold in the tail color. Then you had to let them lay out. You had to cut them with a freaking, what is that? Like a pizza cutter. Mm-hmm. So you could try straight. And then you had to lay all them freaking crazy ass tails flopping everywhere back in the mold. All 10 or 20 of them. And then you had to close the mold correctly so it didn't create flashing, and then shoot the heads. That's how I started this. And then now I've designed a handful, and I think I possess like almost 90 CNC'd aluminum molds now.
Wow.
And those things are not cheap. By no means, and nor is designing one.
And how many baits can you shoot in one of those at a time?
On the bow minnow, on the 2-inch, I can shoot 40 at a time, but I have 4 of those molds. So wow. 160 of them. And then just in that, that's it. That's just in the 2-inch bow minnow. I also have a 3-inch bow minnow that I haven't put online, just because I've been trying to keep up with everything. But I have 8 of those molds that I shoot 20 at a time.
That's nuts. So with the plastic that you're using, what kind of plastic are you using? And I mean, I don't want to give away too many secrets, but like, is there a special plastic that you have to use to? Because I know nothing about this, man. So,
it's plastisol is what it's called. And yeah, I mix a blend that I use for all my baits to still get where you don't compromise one way or the other, but still get a lot of action, but still get toughness. Some guys will go down to like a really soft, like a Yamamoto. They're a great bait to catch fish, but man, it's like a one-hit wonder. B&G. I'm not gonna say the whole daggum name, but B&G. They're saying 1-2 crappie. They done. You put on another one. I've had upwards of 12 to 15 bass caught off a single bait on my bass baits, and more commonly on the crappie, a 10 to 12. But I have had one gentleman that did testify that he caught 45 crappie off a single bait.
Woo! Wow, that's not good for business, man.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, that's nice. We might
make them a little weaker.
Guys are buying 1 bag of bait a year.
Hey, I'm glad you got 45 out of that. But damn, I hope you want a different color than that one I shot. Because that $1 put about $900 worth of food on your table. You catching that many fish, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I make a good product, a quality product. But yeah, I mean, when somebody buys, once every 3 months, that's good. That's good for stores. That's good for, consumer direct. That makes stores want to carry you. But to buying this, let's say you get a bag of big name, you got like 12, 14 in there. Well, you're gonna get like 1 to 3 fish out of a big name. You can get, I'm average, just call it 10 fish a bait on a 20 pack. That's 200 fish. That's a good $8 spent on crappie baits. To where the big names, you're spending like $3, $4, and you get like 20 fish. So,
and crappie fishing is big by you guys in Missouri.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, shoot,
just do a little bit of it.
Just a little bit. Yeah. I think we got like 7, 8 lakes in and around us here. And I sit on the north side of Lake of the Ozarks. So, yeah.
So
no,
what makes your crappie baits better than everybody else's?
Okay. For one, I'll never testify for being the best. Okay. So let's get that shit straight now. I do put heart and soul into it. Like, man, if somebody has an issue, customer service, everything. So I try to always make sure people are taken care of. But people need to better understand as we are growing, unless people are wanting to work. When you get like last week, I had 27 orders come in online. People within 2 days are emailing me going, "Hey, where's my order?" Hey, I want, in my head, I'm saying, "Hey, I don't see no extra hands. Where are you at?" But you have to professionally attack that, and hey, just be patient. We're trying to get things rolling. I did a little show on, set up a booth for the Big Bass Bash on Friday. I fished a Thursday night tournament and I fished a tournament all weekend. It's like the 3 times I've fished all year, and it just happened to be the week that all that was taking place. So yeah, things got put back because I was trying to get as much made for the bash. Not so much that people buy, but they at least could see. Yeah, we did okay. Anything raised money wise is great. But I was able, I don't know if you guys have seen, but I put a vending machine. I wrapped a vending machine in my company and put all of our baits in that vending machine on a gas dock on the water.
That's awesome.
So cool. That's so cool.
So that Friday was able to, we made a little bit of money, but we got to raise awareness for that vending machine. We got to, the brand recognition as well. Because there was, 2,000 anglers that came through on Friday.
Wow.
Because there was 4,000 anglers in the bash. And probably
what is the bash? Why don't you explain that? Because maybe a lot of people don't know what that is.
Okay, so biggest bass caught for the weekend wins $100,000.
Jesus.
Yep. So there's typically, 15 to 18 states represented there. And sometimes guys drive all the way down from Canada.
It's the real deal.
Yeah. You catch one fish and you get $100,000 there. The one guy, he was leading it since 6:40 on Saturday. So how it's structured, every 2 hours there's a weigh-in period. The first weigh-in in the spring, at least, it's 6:30 to 9, so it's a 2.5 hour window to weigh in. You can weigh one fish per guy. So there's 8 weigh-in periods. The guy that was leading the tournament, however many anglers was in it, he was leading it since that first weigh-in period, and he got beat the last hour of the tournament.
Oh.
76, which is a good bass. But the guy that came in and won it was a 20-year-old kid on the 80-mile marker. I mean, he was way up river, and he caught a 758.
Jeez. That's a big fish.
And for a 20-year-old kid, he just won $100,000.
It just changed his life.
Or ruined it.
Yeah. Right?
Or ruined it. Or ruined it.
Give me $100,000 at 20 and I'm going to make some big mistakes.
You might Trevor might actually buy some good equipment.
Shots fired. Shots across the bow.
I will. I'll buy better equipment next time. I will. Maybe. maybe. I don't know.
That shut him up.
I was trying to come up with some like freshwater bass joke, but I couldn't get it. It couldn't come.
Bad choice of words.
Yeah, always.
You just left that door, but I ain't gonna.
So Bo, do you do a lot of freshwater fishing yourself, or not much anymore? Like,
bro,
because you're so stuck in there.
I make baits. That's what I do. I fish a lot. But then we got to making baits, and like, man, last year, dude, it was 4 months after starting the business before I ever fished my own bait. So
Wow.
75,000 baits before I ever fished them.
Well, did you like them?
Yeah, they're nice.
I was gonna say, if you haven't tried them, just gotta ask.
Yeah, dude, I still to this day, like, I think there's 2 crappie that just come out in my head, and they're right at 3 or right over 3 pounds. That's been caught on my stuff.
Nice.
Well, there was that kid on TikTok the other day that made the video with remember he was standing by the thing and he was holding it and he had the big one and he had your bag of baits and he's like, that's the only bait that I'm going to use. That was a big crappie too.
Yeah, that's a 2.5 pound crappie at 16, 17 inches. That's a good crappie by all means. But I've had some absolute slabs caught. Man, you should have seen, there was one out of West Texas. He didn't give me a poundage, but it was 19 inches long.
Holy cow.
Crappie?
Yeah.
So go into it with your baits. How do they go about fishing your baits? Are they like, and listen, dude, I'm not a freshwater fisherman anymore by any means, but like, are they drop shotting these things? Like how is it? I know there's a different technique to crappie fishing than
he's going to
most.
dive into my world. So smallmouth out here on the Shenandoah River is my go-to, and the minnow is my number 1 on a drop shot.
You know, until making baits, I never even heard of drop shot. Okay. So you throw a pony head, 16-ounce pony head with a spinner, vertical fishing, but not drop shotting, like just tying on straight to the end of it and fishing, vertical fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as, to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever heard anybody drop shotting for crappie. I could be wrong. But yeah, no, it's a cast. It's a vertical jig. Even another way is suspended, like when you get suspended crappie, throwing a bobber on a casting net still, letting it drift in the suspended, like 4 foot. A lot of good times when you like if you've got a lot of grass or moss or anything like that, and you want to stay just above it, suspend it with that bobber and let it drift down that bank line. Boom.
So just running it on a slip bobber then.
Yep. But a lot or shooting docks. See, we got a lot of docks here, and they skip very well. Because there's no ribbing, there's no design in the side, so it's smooth. So when you shoot it, you can. I've skipped one like 30 feet underneath the dock.
Jeez,
Perfect.
that's nuts. So you're running them with like you said, a pony head, which is what exactly is that?
Oh my goodness, it's like you don't know what a pony head is.
He's an offshore guy. Give him a break.
I'm an offshore saltwater fisherman, dude. I don't know what that is.
There are plenty of people. I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like a pony head, except without the big snout. It's got a spinner on the back. Just a spinner. A 16th-ounce spinner. How about that?
Oh, I got you.
It's just a pony head is what you call it. Most people call it, I guess. Or a horse head or whatever. But they're a pain to make.
Why are they so hard to make?
Goes right into that. It's a pain to make.
It's a pain to make. It probably makes thousands of them too.
Oh no, I'm I'm accumulating my lead because I ain't got that. No, you got to put. It's so stupid. It is so stupid. Like, I see why the Chinese have 100,000 of people putting these little diddly things. I mean, just attach the spinner to the lead, and then bro, if you ain't got 20/20 or 13/20 bionic vision, you're gonna have to put a magnifying glass right there so you can connect everything. People wanting $15 an hour. You better be making 500 of them an hour then, which ain't gonna happen.
You have to have small hands.
Yeah, well, that and eyesight. More than anything's eyesight, because even if you don't have small hands, you take a little tweezer or something, use that.
Jeez. Okay, so
go ahead.
Excuse me. I was going to say one big difference, kind of slipping off of those, before Trev's head implodes is so like your minnows, like the bow minnows. Most of them see like your Berkeleys and your, all your other stuff. They have the little flip fins on the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yours don't. They're more of a paddle, kind of like a swim bait.
In a way, it's a saucer tail.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Yep.
So why'd you guys go that way? What's it do?
So now, granted, on a 2-inch, it's not going to be as erratic as you get into the 3 and the 4-inch. And I even have it, I beefed it up and it's in a 6-inch as well.
Okay.
Who's Your Daddy Fishing on TikTok, Trev?
Yep.
Okay, he got like 800, 900,000 followers. Anyways, he just made a YouTube drop shotting with my 4-inch bow minnow. I knew it had some action, but oh my gosh. Like, you should see that underwater footage. It's ridiculous in comparison to the other drop shotting baits that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that saucer tail allows for such an erratic action.
I could totally imagine and see that.
It's a little bit different look than a stinger, as far as the tail aspect. So just wanted to be different, but not too far different that people would be like, nah, I don't think so.
I don't think, right.
Well, see, and
I think
I'm actually, I'm excited. I'm going to get a couple down here. I'm going to get them on the water because that's my go-to bait down here for smallmouth, period, is a 3-inch minnow on an 1/8 inch or an 1/8 ounce and just cast it out, pop and reel, pop and reel. Yeah, he's laughing at me.
don't lose your headset there, Beau. You have all kinds of different baits, though. Go into some of the other ones that you do offer and sell, other than just the bow minnow, because you have a pile of different stuff.
Yeah, so you were talking about drop shotting. I've got the coffin tail that I designed. I've got that in a 3.5 inch. I've got it in a 6-inch, and then I now have it in a 9-inch. So that 3.5 inch can probably go both ways, mainly for bass, for trailers, drop shotting, trailers on spinner baits, buzz baits, chatter baits. But I had a professional. He's a local pro here. He fishes on the MLF. I don't know if you guys heard the name, Andy Newcomb. But he brought that to my attention when I showed him the 6-inch. He's like, dude, that'd be a killer drop shot in a 3.5. I was like, I don't have a worm in a 3.5 inch. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for that. Because drop shot wise, if you want to run a 3-inch, run the bow minnow.
Right.
A little different look because of the coffin tail and the ribbing on the worm. That 3.5 inch be another size. But man, the way that worm's designed, like that 9-inch, you could literally fish it. And okay, I want to run it a 6. Let's get more finessing. Man, you could just rip it off down to a 6. And it's doing okay. Let's drop shot it. Okay, rip it down to a 3.5 or a 3-inch, and you could still drop shot it. So that one worm could literally, you could run it because of how it's designed.
That's nuts. I don't think there's a bait on the market that you can do that with.
Not that it's designed for.
Right. Yeah, no, it's because I literally took the same footprint and just stretched it and then just stretched it again. But now I have 9-inch molds, I have 6-inch molds, I have 3.5-inch molds. But essentially, if you wanted to, you could just buy the 9-inch and be very versatile, being able to drop shot, trailer it, shoot it, Texas rig, shaky head, wobble head, Carolina rig. I mean,
you can do anything with it.
Yeah, pretty much. And go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say you have some others, like you make a bow swimmer and the bow bug. I mean, there's a ton of other stuff other than just that.
There's so I've got a 5-inch Senko, I've got a 7-inch Senko, I've got a 7-inch trick worm, got a 5-inch bush wookie. Kind of imitates a large creature, or it can be fished as a frog. It's got a
Oh.
What else we got? I've got the twin tail grub that I designed. I took an old bait made by Jewel that they discontinued. Me and a buddy redesigned it, and then we brought it back to life. So there's that. There's the sorry.
All right, you're good, man.
There's the 3-inch bow crawl, which that bow crawl is designed differently. It's got paddles on the end of the appendages. So when you swim it, whether it's on a swim jig, whether you're working it on a normal jig or Texas rigging, it allows those appendages to really move a lot of water. The speed crawl, I pretty much took the design and just beefed it up kind of after a zoom crawl, kind of in a way, a zoom speed crawl. There's the bow bug. It's got paddles on all 4 appendages. It's in a 4-inch. Oh boy, what else we got?
The bow swimmer.
Yep, got the swimmer. That's kind of, everybody's got a paddle tail like that, but I think what really sets it apart, the color patterns that I can put to it, but also the durability that it gets with the action it still throws off. Had a lot of guys throwing that on A-rig saying, wow, like how well it holds up, but still doesn't compromise the action.
That would be sick for big walleyes, honestly. I think would kill walleyes on that bait.
You know what, the market I never thought I'd be in or considered, and that's for speckled, speckled spotted trout, redfish, snook, jack, flounder. Yeah.
Oh, you could definitely get in trouble with those baits. There's no doubt about that.
Oh,
literally, I could catch anything with those baits, even in the salt.
Well, in salt water that I know of, I've probably sent to the south like 20,000 baits. Yeah. And they're like, man, you need to get on podcasts and everything. I'm like, sure. Well, what do you want me to talk about? Because I have no clue when it comes to saltwater stuff. I got a profile. I make some badass colors, and y'all like them. That's all I know.
See, I think that's a rabbit hole we could actually dive down to. Because if Trev took and said, here's what I use, and you said, this would be my equivalent, and this is how I would fish it, I wonder if we could figure out something Trev could take out on the boat and go, this will work for that.
See, the thing is, honestly, we run a lot of big baits. So, like, it would be like a big swim bait, like 7 to 9 inches, something like that bow swimmer. If it was in a bigger, that would be a really good saltwater bait. But you could really schoolie fish with that. I'd put those on the back of like fluke rigs and stuff like that up here. Even for sea bass and stuff like that, like some of your curly tails. And
what are you fishing for?
So we fish a lot for striped bass, and I do a lot of fluke and sea bass fishing.
So I got a 6-inch bow minnow.
See, that's perfect.
Because I've got a 10-inch ribbon tail worm, but that's not something that's ideal. But yeah, soft plastic wise, as far as swim bait aspect, 6-inch bow minnow is probably the biggest I got right now.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that's plenty big enough. I mean, the big time striper guys and stuff like that, they use giant baits, dude. Like everything's 9, 11, 12.
Well,
it's insane.
You get in that comparison to like what I've seen a lot when we fished up there is, you're getting into live eel. So when you're trying to replicate something like live eel, you're talking 12 to 14 inches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy the type of baits that these guys throw now.
Well, shoot, I couldn't imagine what they're paying. The stuff I see is like the most expensive I've seen is a mega bass swim bait. It was like 12-inch swim bait, and it was $72 for a soft plastic.
For a plastic?
Yep.
You know something? It's funny is so I went to. They have a lot of like largemouth conventions and stuff here that they sell baits and all this, that, and the other thing, and I didn't realize that like the hard swim baits, like the jointed swim baits, how like the black market it is for those things. Like one guy will come in and he'll have 12 of his custom baits and they'll sell for like $350 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go and they sell them on like behind the scenes for like 600 because they're like those intricate colors. And I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me. For largemouth, these guys pay that much money for largemouth lures. Like, I was blown away.
Oh, dude, the 110 juniors and anything mega bass is well known around here. But you're talking $30 to $50 a jerkbait or hardbait
that you'll lose on your second cast.
If that's when you seen those rocket slugs?
Oh yeah.
You get one of them bastards and sling it. If that doesn't work, then I'm stripping down and going and getting it. That's all I got to say on a mega bass.
You spend that much money on it, I'd expect nothing less.
Unless you got a good net man. A good friend of mine, he stripped down and jumped in the lake and swam down like 10 feet and got it. He literally grabbed my and just went down. It was like a $40 crankbait. Like I was gonna go get it, but he was already in swimming trunks, and he's like, I got it. Okay.
Be my guest.
Well, I asked him to be in my wedding, which here in a couple of weeks, but his work wouldn't let off. So that's how good of a friend he is.
Well enough. You got good friends.
You throw one of those baits at.
I was going to say you got good friends, and then you got friends that'll do that.
Then you got Trevor.
Yeah, you're on your own, bub.
I was going to lead into those are the guys that are going to help you bury a body, but then it went that way.
Yeah.
I'll just shoot him twice for you.
Hey, double tapping's legal.
The thing is, I'd be afraid to throw some of that stuff in some of these pike infested, muskie infested waters up here. Like, you would have a tough time throwing some of that up here.
Oh, dude, around here, dude, there's so many docks, so there's cables everywhere. And you get hooked into that shit ain't coming out. And I don't know if I can hold my breath long enough underwater to try to get that unhooked from a cable.
Mm-hmm.
I might die trying to get a $50 crankbait. That's a good way to go out. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I was trying to get that crankbait. This one time we were out spearfishing for fluke, and it was around a lot of lobster pots, and I shoot this fluke and it goes inside of this lobster pot. Now I got to figure out how to get it out of there. But now we're free diving. It's in there, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get it out without drowning. So then I ended up coming up for breath. I go back down. I had to drag it into shallower water. I thought I was going to die. I really did. I thought I was going to die that day. It was definitely a scary situation. Not another situation I want to be in, honestly.
On here. The occasional thing that see, we bowfish big time around here. Now, I will say, when someone mistakenly thinks a beaver is a grass carp, now that's a sticky situation.
Ooh.
And you talk
what happens?
Tubby Johnson coming over the side of the boat at 70 pounds, and you got an arrow stuck in his fur. Well, you know which animals were harmed in the making of this,
right?
Rabbit ears.
Right. And you're trying to cut the fur off. Did you realize how strong a beaver is? Holy shit! That's a mini Mike Tyson. He got the same lisp and everything.
I can only imagine a boat full of you boys, and then you try and pull that thing over the side of the boat. Everybody kind of goes one width way and try not to get their ankles gnawed off.
Wait, nobody brought a bobcat pole?
You apparently no. That do not ever, I'll tell you, the Outdoor Drive podcast, do not ever realize or underestimate ever. Like, he looks fat and unathletic, but I'll tell you, he will put some people to shame. I have seen grown man bail out of boats because there's a beaver in the boat.
That's what I'm saying.
In my mind, I am picturing Butterball the fighter, head to toe covered in fur, stepping into the ring.
Exactly. Except he ain't swinging with his hands. It's his teeth and his head. And that paddle. That tail. Woo.
World Slap Championship.
Exactly. You might as well be going back to the 90s when everybody was getting hit with paddles, because that's about what's about to happen again.
Oh, I thought I was the only one that ever had to eat a crawfish paddle across the backside.
Man, I had a paddle with my name on it.
Good times. That's childhood right there.
At least
All I can think of is Beau and the Wild Beaver.
Yeah. And I clearly said, well, we all call grassy, because it came shooting out like grassy. They come flying out. And I was like, no. I'm like, oh, hell, here we go.
It's going to be a long night.
It was like a solid 45 minutes.
I could take this topic down so many different wrong rabbit holes.
We don't have a long podcast. I'm sure we all somewhere in here.
This is the one time your buddy wishes he hadn't stuck to beaver.
What happens when you stick a beaver?
You get slapped.
you get slapped a little more than that if it was.
She's a biter.
Now you need to make a beaver tail.
I got a coffin tail, which is equivalent to this same topic of a beaver tail. It puts you in the coffin.
Inspirational. Very inspirational.
Metaphoric too, you know.
Oh, geez. I knew this one was going off the rail.
I never knew that we could have a bait podcast that went off the rails. Beau's in the house.
I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna reserve myself for the old fisherman's joke. Y'all know what I'm thinking. I ain't saying it.
Give him 20 the beans.
So, do you have any new baits that you, or what's for the future to hold? Do you have new stuff coming out, or things that you're thinking about designing and making? And
yeah, I'm working on a brush hog design. I've got I don't even know what I'm calling it yet, but I put it out there. It's like it's an ice fishing prototype bait that just went crazy. But it'll also be a finesse crappie fishing for live scoping. Mold just showed up today, so I had a little 20 cavity of it. I was like, okay, well, cool. I had people wanting to order it, and I'm like, guys, this is a prototype. Like, that's the reason the damn I put prototype. And people calling, hey, I need 100 of these. I need like 5. I was like, it's prototype for a damn reason. Like, I got this little big ass mold. Yeah, you expect me to put out a couple thousand of these quickly? No, it ain't happening. You can just wait your turn there, Sally. So yeah, no, the mold that came in, it's I think I'll be able to shoot 60 now at a time. So, oh my gosh,
Green timed out. He's back.
Yeah, no, this I had a feeling it wouldn't go so smoothly. Anybody ever wants to run their own company or just answer my phone, I might pay you just to answer my phone for the day.
you need a secretary already?
It's been like this for a while, but it's about 120 calls a day.
Jeez.
Just people looking for baits
Or just my family, just saying, hey, staying in touch and making sure I'm still alive. You know, whatever.
You haven't drowned after getting slapped by a beaver?
Right? I mean, because honestly, besides the few times I went fishing here, I don't really leave my basement unless I'm going to the post office. And then it's back here. Because I'm working out of our basement right now. We got a 1,300 square foot basement. And yeah, just it's 10 to 15 hours a day. And I'm not even kidding.
just making baits, dude. Literally full time making baits. That's it.
And TikToks, of course. You know, you got to make the couple.
Of course, the TikToks.
It takes a hot minute to get it all done correctly.
Have you been shadow banned on TikTok? Like, have you been one of those guys?
No. Now, if you go look at my last 6 TikToks, 7 to 8 TikToks, they all got 5 to 25,000 views.
Well, he's also not killing shit.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's the
Killing
separator.
time in the basement.
Yeah, but that's where that's the only downfall. Like, I'm glad. Like, I'm not trying to create content for everything that's coming up on the hunting side anymore, because you get banned. Everything gets banned or shadow banned or whatever a lot so easy on all the platforms.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's tough.
So are you going to go back to guiding for the season or no?
No, it put me behind for the whole year. So I private label for 2 other companies. So I make their baits, and then they bag them in their own bags and everything else and sell them. Yeah, it put me 3 months behind by guiding for 2 months.
Jeez. And
Because-
what were you guiding for?
Whitetail.
Oh, whitetail only, yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, it was northern Missouri, so there ain't really much else. I mean, that and making beer runs, but
Yeah, that sounds about right.
dude. All right, real quick story. Short and sweet. Had a guy client that hunted with us. He happened to be with me. It was a 4-day hunt. He might have hunted 5 hours out of 4 days. And it was muzzleloader, so yeah, it's cold. But he was like from Georgia or something. He's a blueberry farmer. By the 3rd day, he had me pick him up. I would drop him off at like 3 o'clock. And he's only hunting. He only had to set till like 5:30, okay? He had me pick him up on the 3rd day at like 4:15. And I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? He goes, I'm cold. And I gave him, I had all, because, you know, we're hunting too as guides, but I'm, you know, client is priority. So I gave him all my warm stuff and he still froze. So I picked him up and I said, hey, what's going to make you happy? Because I know you ain't enjoying yourself hunting. He said, man, a freaking cheeseburger. Excuse me, Dan. He said, a cheeseburger. So town's about a half hour from where we were guiding at. Said, you know what? That's fine. And we had an ice storm. So I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead. Let's go. Let's go. I'll take you in town. We'll get a cheeseburger. That dude pulled $400 out of his wallet. And that was my tip for 5 hours of him hunting. Just because I got him a cheeseburger. I was like, my goodness, bring your family, your kin, whatever. If that's all I got to do is feed you cheeseburgers for $400 a pop, come on with it.
Did he end up shooting a deer?
No, we didn't sit long enough. The last day, I think he had to have taken him a pint of Fireball or whiskey or something, because he actually sat for like 2.5 hours. So there's something keeping him warm.
That's what you should have sent him into the woods with a cheeseburger and a pint of whiskey. He would have been there all day.
Oh no, max was 3 hours guaranteed. He's just thin skinned. He's used to 100-degree weather all the time, and he was
Picking
only
blueberries.
well, he wasn't big. Shoot, he had like 3,500 acre farm of blueberries. Mm-hmm. Great guy. I just couldn't believe for $400 all he wanted was cheeseburger.
I wish there was more simple people in the world out there.
Play, move over. I might be starting a restaurant.
Yeah, I was gonna say you buy a bag of baits, we'll send you a cheeseburger.
That kind of money, shoot.
That's what you need to do. You need like a delivery service for while guiding.
Trouble, baits and burgers. But it almost feel like moving dope or something, making that kind of money.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's very true. You be like the cart girl at the local golf cart, just driving around with cheeseburgers and baits, just delivering them to every dock around town.
Hey, don't judge me. Fishing, all right? $400 for the cheeseburger. I'm bringing it for you.
You can have 3.
Right?
Jeez, that's nuts.
I was trying to think if I had any other profiles. Oh yeah, no, I don't currently.
That's all of them, huh? The coffin tail, the bow swimmer, the bow minnow, the bow sanko, the twin tail grub.
Mm-hmm. The speed crawl, the bow crawl, the bush wookie.
That's it.
Brickworm, 10-inch jangle tail, which is a ribbon tail, 7-inch jangle tail, 6-inch bow minnow, 4-inch bow minnow, 3-inch bow minnow, 2-inch bow minnow. That new one that just got here, which I don't even have a name for. People are wanting to call it sperm speedster or something. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. Sounds about right for my group of people.
But that's a good ice fishing bait also.
Yes. Very much so, because like you could hold the head of it, and I don't care how steady your hands is, that tail will still move. So that's why it's going to be, more along the lines of the ice fishing and / a crappie finesse.
Now are you going to go more into the ice fishing stuff as you go along with designing more baits for that kind of stuff, or?
I want to, but people want me to, so I guess I'm going to have to.
You're going to have to.
It's a pain pouring them little bastards.
Oh, I can only imagine. Maybe if you made like a small coffin tail or something.
3.5-inch, pretty small.
You're going to have to go smaller than that for ice fishing.
I might as well just send you the tail of the coffin.
Well, this is true.
This is our coffin bait.
You're just going to go back to what you were doing with pouring the bait, cutting the tail off, and sending that out for ice fishing, and then use the other half for something else.
Well, no, because I can just make the tails. There you go. Like I've got a separate mold that shoots just the tails. Then I take those tails and lay them in the big molds.
Is that what you still have to do now, or no? You have a whole mold.
No. Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Bro, you will appreciate me more if you had to do what I do.
No wonder you spend 15 hours a day down there picking up coffin tails.
Yeah, and dealing with people's shit.
Wow. I can't believe it.
Answer my phone for a day, you'll believe it.
I don't want to answer your phone. I see your TikTok account. I'm all set with that. Jeez, man. That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah,
well, I didn't realize that baits are that it's that crazy. Really? How did these guys do it on a big scale?
Well, that's when you got a couple $100,000 dropped into a machine. Or you got a couple machines. Or you get them outsourced to China.
Yeah, but that's not fun. These are American made.
Yeah, so that's the defining factor. That's what really separates you from the big name, big brand, box store type shit.
That in the cup.
Right. So going from all of that with the commercial shit, how did you come up with your color palette?
Oh, I looked at what's worked for me in the past. And I mean, because I grew up crappie fishing with my papaw. And we constantly would burn through baits and everything else. So just knowing what colors work when and where, as far as locally, I've always had an eye for that. But now turning it into, the making side of it, when you get a grasp on everything and you can really get intricate, like we could pour some really expensive baits when it comes to color shifts you can add or pearls. And, when you're doing like a two-tone, I even have a special mold that I can shoot the bodies in a two-tone aspect, lay them in another mold, and shoot the tail in a third color. Gotcha. But you can literally, between all those, I could get 9 colors in a tricolor bait. So you can literally run a dye color, a pearl powdered color, and a flake color in the top, the bottom, and in the tail. So you could literally get 9 colors out of a single 2-inch bow minnow if I wanted to.
Gotcha.
That's nuts.
And it costs
That's
you.
absolutely.
Those ain't going to run $8 for a 20 pack. I can tell you that.
But so when somebody calls you, they can get a custom color if they want, but they're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah. And it's normally, it's 100 bait minimum.
Okay. Oh,
Bass
because you have to build them in a big batch.
Right. Bass. Well, but I'm just building them for that person.
Mhm.
Okay. Replicate this for another individual, for production. I've got production colors, and then you got custom colors. And then there's some people that pay extra and they say, do not ever make that bait for anybody else. Okay.
Then it's just theirs.
That color is theirs.
Except for you when you're fishing tournaments.
Maybe.
So
Can't
my
discuss
question
that at
is
this time.
So my question for this is, honestly, like when you get to a lake, I want to go into a little bit of tips and tricks on kind of crappie fishing, because obviously we don't really panfish. Panfishing up here is not really a thing other than through the ice. So like when you get to a lake, how do you go getting on the crappie and finding the crappie and using these baits to your advantage?
It's equivalent. Or go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, elaborating on that, you find the fish, time of year, depth, color, water, weeds. How do you pick your colors?
Well, you look for your bait fish. What are they feeding on? So you start to replicate things of that nature. Spawn, as long as you got something that's moving, they're probably smash it for the most part. But then, you just start keying in what they, certain lakes. What was it? I did it for a buddy. He's a guy down in Tennessee on Reelfoot. A golden chartreuse, green, it was just straight gold flake with a chartreuse tail. Big hitter for him. But that he must have a clear lake. But that here on Lake of the Ozarks, I've never seen anybody run or ask for or anything. Because we have a murkier, darker, or muddier water. We're going to have something that's bright, that's elaborate. Clear lakes, you go more natural. So muddier lakes, you get something that's bright and over the top.
So what's your thoughts on colors? So like for us, a lot of things that I know, like if you have let's say, I don't know, we'll just pick any color. Say like we use like a white and blue bucktail, right? For example, when you get down X amount of feet, then that color actually changes. Have you ever heard about any of that?
Yeah, the deeper you go, color saturation disappears. So as you go down, purple's the last color that goes. Red is the first that goes. So we'll say 30 feet, you can't see red. The color spectrum disappears. All you'll see is your blues and purples.
Gotcha. And that's due to the light.
Yep.
That's where your Roy G. Biv comes into play. And a lot of people don't, and the only reason I said that is a lot of people don't know that. So like if you're throwing orange, you'll lose that color, and it's actually a different color when it gets down there.
Right. It grays out. So when we're diving, anytime we film underwater, I have to have a red lens to add to it to keep the red color, because it disappears to the natural eye. Same thing with a bait. You throw your reds and oranges, and at a certain depth, that's going to gray out. Mm-hmm. And that's why you see a lot of your silvers, your silver flakes, your purples, your deep blues when you're fishing your deeper levels, because those colors hold till 90 feet or so.
Right.
So what do you do in tournament day? Like say you're fishing a tournament. You said you fished a tournament the other day, and you roll up to a spot. Like what are you going to start to throw? How are you going to try and get yourself to be in that winning position?
You got to throw what you're confident with too. It may not necessarily dictate the profile. It may be more your color. So like here, green pumpkin, black and blue. Those are colors. Like, you could have whatever profile it is, as long as it's one of the two of those colors, because we always have murky water. And a darker color like that is a lot easier to see for them. You're not going to throw a big chartreuse or a big white, for the most part, unless they're like a shad spawn.
Mm-hmm.
It just really depends. A jig bite's huge here. Top water can be, but man, as soon as it starts warming up, you go to a big worm. And if you look at my bag, my tackle box for just my worms, like, oh my gosh, before I even was making baits, I was probably spending an easy $500 to $1,000 a year just on big worms in all kinds of different colors.
And that's what you like to throw, like Carolina rig and stuff like that, Texas rig and stuff like that? That's the way to go, is Texas rig, huh?
Texas rig. If you're going to throw smaller profile, you probably throw it on shaky head.
And just bounce it around.
Yep. And you got your different kinds of shaky heads. You got a straight vertical. You got your offset to where it sets at an angle. So
I'm blown away. I'm blown away by bass fishermen. It's just crazy to me, honestly.
Are you guys in the water out there where you're at? You're working, depths and drifts, things like that. We're working shallow to deep, ledges, terrain, things like that. So that's where your different things come into play. Like on the river, there are some spots in deep water where vertical works great. There are other spots that I need that offset just to keep him skipping off the rock ledges, or you're going to hang up every cast. So it's...
like on Lake, so diverse. Like you're shooting docks, you're dealing with cables, you got chunk rock, and I think there's certain points with the bluffs, we got 120 feet of depth in this lake, if not deeper. So sometimes you're dealing with ledges off that, or you're running spinner baits down the side if it's windy. But yeah, then you got pea gravel, you got sand, you got mud. Literally, the only thing we really don't have here is grass.
Right.
Like there's a little bit, but not like some of the bigger lakes down south where there's grass everywhere, like Toledo Bend.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're fishing big weed beds at that point.
Yeah. Those mats, they call them. And we don't have lily pads on Lake O either.
Right. And that's the other side of it, though, is you can take a bass fisherman from a particular area and relocate him to a different type of area, and it's going to be a whole different fishery. He may take a day or two to figure it out, but then you throw him out in the saltwater where you are, and they're clueless, so we may look at the saltwater guys and just be blown away. It's like, hey, wow, you guys are like, you're something else. So when you say, oh, bass fishermen, it's the same thing, different side of the fence. Grass is always greener.
Well, at least with bass fishing, for the most part, or crappie fishing, you have a structure to go off of or look at, as far as what most generally it's out of the water. You got a down tree, or, I got a log sticking up, or something like that. Man, you put me in the salt, and I'm like, where the hell are we going? But I know you're looking for structure under the water, how the things are. We have a more visual on top of the water.
Yeah. You guys actually have to know the water. There's a difference.
Yeah. You're running topographical maps virtually for underwater. That's how we fish, And listen, don't get it twisted. I was a big time bass fisherman. I live on a bass lake. I just don't have any interest in going there and bass fishing anymore. It's just not my forte, or I don't have the time, I guess, to do it. It's crazy. It's so nuts. Well, I want to switch gears just real quick. We're kind of closing up shop here. I have one last question, and I ask everybody this, and it's what drives you outdoors, man? What gets you out there fishing or making baits or whatever it is?
To leave a legacy worth leaving. Story that everybody will remember. story.
Explain it a little bit more.
I don't want to just be an average Joe, you know. I don't want to just be somebody else. I want to be that guy that someone always remembered for you know, the effort, you know, whatever it is, customer service or anything like that. Like literally leaving a name that'll always stick to somebody, whether it's one person, whether it's 100 people. But man, when you wake up and just work a 9 to 5 and, you know, you go home, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's just not me. Put in the time, put in the effort, build a name, build a brand, build a family, you know, your customer base and everything. And to be able to give more back, you know. Yeah, I'm building a business and everything. And do I want to make money? Yeah. But man, when I get to a certain point, I mean, I've already done it a little bit, but when I get to a point of making more money, that just means more families I can help. That's how I look at it.
That's probably one of the best what drives you outdoors that I've heard in a very long time, honestly. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. I mean, don't settle. You know, when I die, I want people to know, hey, there's something to remember and by. People will talk about it for a long time, long after I'm gone.
Yeah, I mean, I hate complacency. So, you know, honestly, if this thing makes it to 20 years and nobody buys me out or anything, I'll probably have like 100 and something different profiles because I'm trying to make it a little better, do it a little bit different, you know.
100%.
I hate complacency.
Totally get it.
I think it's kind of crazy that you say that, honestly, because I think a lot of people are just so used to that 9 to 5 and they have these dreams of what they want to do. They want to be part of the outdoor industry. They want to be, you know, the next Lee and Tiffany or the next Mike Iaconelli or whatever, but they just don't want to go and do it. And I think that like guys like us, we don't care about that struggle. We're just going to do it because we want to, you know, and we're not afraid to make that jump.
And I love this. I enjoy this. Like I do this every day and I do it for way more hours than a 9 to 5. And it's not Monday through Friday. My fiance will tell you that. She's like, I'm like, hey, you can complain about it or you can get on board. Whichever, you know, everybody's got their days.
Right.
Oh, crap. I just had a thought and it just brain farted on me. Daggone.
Damn fisherman.
Damn bass fisherman. It's like a bass.
Squirrel.
He forgot what he was doing in the water.
Oh, gotta nibble everything. Stop. Forget it all.
Oh, my bad. I pulled a Biden.
Russia.
It'll come to me, but yeah, no, I mean, I love it. I hate complacency. Oh, but get another thing. Back to the customs real quick. I have had guys that have came to me and they could not find that color for the last 20 years. I've seen grown men cry when I replicated a color that they couldn't find for so long. I've had handwritten notes to me. Like I keep those notes. Like it's super cool. And it's so rewarding to be a part of that. They could care less if it catches a fish. They wanted that color in that bait, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it was so fulfilling for them just to get it. So that's another thing that's really cool.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and that's in the fishing world, as you guys both know, when you find a bait you like, whether it works or not, and you like that bait, you want that bait.
You're confident in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand that going 20 years without it, and then all of a sudden here it is. I could see a fisherman getting overwhelmed at that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, being a new company, some of the older gentlemen, yeah, they're kind of reluctant, and especially around here, they're reluctant to try something new. They've been throwing that green pumpkin Zoom for ages and black and blue. Well, you keep trying. Sooner or later, they're going to give you a possible chance, or they're just going to take that Zoom green pumpkin to the grave. I mean, hell.
Yep. I mean, there's that. And who knows? Maybe it's that one day that nothing's biting on that blue on black, and they throw on that something new, and they have one of the best days they got.
Yep.
But until you try it, you never know.
can take those ordinary, I know we're about to wrap it up. I can take those ordinary colors and put just a little bit of elegance on it with a different pearl or a color shift. And it's still your same bait, but it's just got a little bit more elegance to it. That can make all the difference in the world.
100%. Totally agree. Well, real quick before we wrap this thing up, where can everybody find you?
All the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, but then the website's bojanglebaits.com. If they want customs, the best way is to message me through Facebook. That's the easier way to communicate. So yeah, just reach out. Maybe on a wait list for a little bit when it comes to customs, but I will get you taken care of.
Outstanding. Well, precluding all the adult jokes that I could throw in here right now, we're going to say thanks for being good at making baits. And again, guys, check him out. Get his stuff. Give it a try. I know I plan on getting it in the river. Minnows are my thing, and he's got a hell of a great line. So take a chance, jump on there, and let's help a buddy out. And until then, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.